Hi, Pugdube. Hi, BookTube. Here I am again. This is Johnny. Johnny from West Michigan. Little town, Holland on the right near Lake Michigan. I could drive to Lake Michigan from our house in about 10-15 minutes. It is a Monday. You call this Monday Reads. It is February the 19th, 2018. It is 9:23 at night here where I live, where we live out our little lives in the little town of Holland, Michigan. I'm sure it's been over 24 hours since I made a video. I'm a creature of habit. Like I said, I always been keeping a diary since 1968. I write, I read, I breathe, I seek the face of God. Today I ended on page for the 2018. Now, I have not written 133 pages in the month of February, but beginning on on January the 1st, which was page 1, I am now on page, well, I ended on page 133 today, and tomorrow morning I will start on page 134 on February the 20th. We're quickly coming to the end of this month. My wife leaves on February the 28th. She'll fly out to Denver, Colorado to visit our daughter Beth and her husband Andy and our 3 grandchildren, Louisa, Margaret, and Jack. She'll be gone a week. I'll be by myself here inside my little hermit cell. So, it's Monday Reads. I have been reading, well, you know, I got this thing in the email. I mentioned to you a while back about my ancestral.com, how I found out supposedly who my father is. His name was Kermit Keene. He was from Virginia, down by the Appalachian Mountains. I have been in contact with distant cousins, and I get emails from ancestral.com. Basically what they do, they send you a little information on one of your relatives, and then if you want to know more, then you got to pay $17. But they sent me this little thing, which is nothing new, I didn't know. This is about my grandfather, who was James L. Beatty. He from Berkeley, California, formerly of Uniontown, Pennsylvania. That's where he was born, and that's where he's buried. J.A. Jell L. Beatty passes away. This was May the 13th, 1968. My mother died, was killed in a car wreck, and they sent me that a couple of days ago, a newspaper clipping of my mother's death. My mother was hit by a speeding ambulance, and she was killed instantly in December of 1968. So my grandfather and my mother died the same year. So he passes away. Mr. Beatty served for many years as consulting engineer to the U.S. Air Force and traveled all over the world in this capacity. He was born in Uniontown in 1891, son of the late John C., which that's John Calvin Beatty, and his mother, Anna L. Beatty. Surviving are a son, which is my Uncle Marty, and 2 daughters, which is my Aunt Billy, who died sometime after my mother's death, and my mother, Valerie Beatty, in California, 2 sisters, etc., etc. Services will be held Tuesday in the Presbyterian Church of Berkeley. Yeah, I remember going to that service. I don't remember much. I was 15 years old, because I became 16 of August 1968. Yeah. Because my mother was killed when I was 16. So anyway, we got that in the mail. Well, email. Email. So yeah, my grandfather has passed away, my mother, my aunt. I have cousins I'm not in contact with. I am the oldest of 5. I have a brother, Mike, who lives in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I have a sister in Maryland, a brother in Texas, and my younger sister lives in Sacramento, California. My mother was married several times, a couple times as far as I know. My brother and I don't, well, I don't know if my brother after me, I don't know if we ever really, my mother, if she was married to his father, I don't know. She was married to my sister Robin, my brother Robert's father, and my Danielle, my younger sister's father, who was Thomas. So as far as today, I volunteered at the library used bookstore, the Book Nook. I brought home this book for my free book, 9 Lives in Search of the Sacred Modern India by William Dalrymple. I got this because I have other books by him. The Age of Kala, Indian Travels and Encounters by him. The City of Djinns, A Year in Delphi by William Dalrymple. I can't pronounce it. In Xanadu. This is another travel book that he wrote. And then he has this nonfiction book, The White Mughals, Love and Betrayal, 18th-century India by him. And the last of the Mughals, Fall of Dynasty of Delphi, 1857 by him. Wish I could pronounce names. Forgive me for being so inarticulate. So now I have another one to add to that collection. As people don't realize who are new to my BookTube channel that I'm a book collector. I don't read everything that I show in my videos. My hobby, some people collect butterflies and some people collect vintage cars, or they collect stuffed teddy bears. I collect books, and what I do is I go out looking for a certain writer and I try to collect everything that they have written, or good biographies on them, literary studies, essays, short stories, letters of these writers, poets, painters, whatever. So now I have another one. And I also got at the Book Nook this book, The People Called Shakers. Shakers was a 19th century American Ethiopian community sect. People Called Shakers, The Search of the Perfect Society by Edward Deming Andrews. When I was cataloging this in my library thing site, I already have it in paperback. So I'll find the paperback if I can find it down there in the chaos and keep the hardback. While I was at the Book Nook, I read once again, I showed you the other night, Everybody's Fool by Richard Russo. I mentioned that Everybody's Fool is a sequel to this novel, Nobody's Fool by Richard Russo. And what you have is 10 years have passed in the lives of the characters in this novel and taken up again here 10 years later in Everybody's Fool. I really enjoyed this novel. I can't remember how many years ago I read it, but as I mentioned, I have all of Richard Russo's writings in our library. I had a big stack of them. I brought them up here this afternoon, and I took them back downstairs. I thought maybe people get bored with me showing 10 of his novels. He's written a lot of books, and they're all worth reading. My favorite book by Richard Russo is called Empire Falls, which is one of my all-time favorite novels. Empire Falls, just a really incredible piece of literary work. But I read this at the Book Nook, and I'm really getting into it, unfortunately, because I'm trying to read I don't know how many books, and I keep getting sidetracked. But I recommend Nobody's Fool, and then read Everybody's Fool. I mentioned Friday I got this book I mentioned in my last video, Sports of Kings by C.E. Morgan. This was a runner-up for the Pulitzer Prize in 2017. I put a link on one of my last videos for a book review on this. I recommend looking at that review. This looks like a really good read. And I'm still reading the Flanders, Women Walk in the City in Paris, New York, Tokyo, Venice, and London by Lauren Akin. And I've been reading this evening and tonight, I'm trying to finish the couple pages left in The Darkman, a novel by Nicola Barker. I really recommend this. This has really been an enjoyable read. And I got 2 weeks ago, I got her a new novel. I got it from England, Happy by Nicola Barker. I was really enjoying this when I was reading it. So I'm going to finish this and keep reading this. Yesterday was a Sunday, and once again, I read the New York Times newspaper. There's a good article in here. This Kostagar, he's that Norwegian writer who wrote all those volumes about his life. I showed those last year or 2 years ago. I read that and read, you have the New York Times book review. When I was reading this, I found out there was a new paperback out, and I ordered it from Amazon. I'm supposed to get it. Well, it mentions that novel White Tears by Hari Kurzuri. I just bought that not yesterday, but the Sunday before. White Tears, I've been reading that. But this is the one I ordered from Amazon. I'm supposed to get in the mail this week. Shadowrun by Steve Eckerson. It says here, 20 years after the September 11th terrorist attacks, the Twin Towers inexplicably crop up in the South Dakota Badlands, inhabited by Elvis' stillborn twin brothers. Our reviewer, Philanda Mazau, compared the novel to a polyphonic dirge for an America that has perhaps never lived anywhere but in the imagination of those of us who keep fighting for it anyway. So I ordered that because I have two other novels by Steve Eckerson, the one I read last year. I found out Salvation Army. So I read the New York Times yesterday, not cover to cover, just the book review, and I read, the parts I read, Arts and Leisure, Sunday Review. They have a big, so I looked through that, and I also read in the mornings. I read yesterday off and on Matthew, interpreted by the early Christian commentators, the Church's Bible. I've been reading that too. So yeah, that's what I've been reading. That's what's on my to-be read pile. So I don't know. I was going to read to you something out of Jack Kerouac. These are Good, Blonde, and Others. This is his kind of uncollected writings. And I always put this little piece of Jack Kerouac around the beginning of every year in my diaries. It's called Belief and Technique for Modern Prose. And this is a kind of approach also that I use when I make booktube videos, because I know that my booktube videos come off kind of wacky, but it kind of goes along with my approach to writing in my diary and into my videos. It says, Belief and Technique for Modern Prose, list of essentials. First, scribble secret notebooks in wild typewritten pages for your own joy. It's the same thing. Make videos for your own joy. Just be real. Just be who you are as a lover of books. 2, submissive to everything, open listening. 3, try never get drunk outside your own house. 4, be in love with your life. Be in love with your life as a bookworm. Hey, you're not like, everybody's different. 5, something that you feel will find its own form. Say, making videos. 6, be crazy, dumb saint of the mind. 7, blow as deep as you want to blow. 8, write what you want, bottomless from the bottom of the mind. 9, the unspeakable vision of the individual. That's what you're going to show on your your booktube videos. The unspeakable vision of the individual bookworm. 10, no time for poetry, but exactly what is. 11, visionary ticks shivering in the chest. 12, entranced fixation, dreaming upon object before you. 13, remove literary, grammatical, and syntactical inhibition. Well, that right there is what I do in my videos. 14, like Proust, be an old tea-head of time. 15, telling the true story of the world, an interior monologue. That's what I do in my videos. 16, the jewel center of the interest is the eye within the eye. 17, write in recollection and amazement for yourself. Make videos in recollection and amazement for yourself. 18, work from pithy middle eye, swimming in language sea. Swim in the language of books, of poetry and art and essays and letters and humor and science fiction and fantasy and the Bible and medieval exegesis and Pauline theology and music reviews of punk music, and just let it swim in that sea. 19, accept lost forever. 20, believe in the holy contour of life. 21, struggle to sketch the flow that already exists intact in your mind. 22, don't think of words when you stop, but picture better. 23, keep track of every day, the date emblazoned in your morning. 24, no fear or shame in the dignity of your experience, language, or knowledge. That's a good thing to keep in mind when you make booktube videos. No fear or shame in the dignity of your experience, language, or knowledge. 25, write for the world to read and see your exact pictures of it. 26, book movie is the movie in words, the visual American form. 27, in praise of character in the bleak and human loneliness. 28, composing wild, undisciplined, pure, coming in from under, crazier the better. That's my videos. 29, you're a genius all the time. 30, writer, director of earthly movies, sponsored and angeled in heaven. So yeah, I try to put that in my diaries at the year. I have those right here that I put in my diary. Also, I wrote the other day I was writing some notes to BookTube. I thought I'd just read them. Hey, it says here to BookTube. I wrote on this on February the 18th, 2018. To BookTube. Last night I made a video on the spare of the moment. meaning I just made it with no forethought. I wanted the video to be raw, a reflection of my existing reality. I do not find videos that seem to be filmed for a television show interesting. I personally like messy booktube videos. Just book lovers being themselves, purely letting it all hang out, revealing all their imperfections. We all know not all of us are pretty. I know, for example, that I'm a bald, overweight old man. I am not handsome. I am no longer young. I know I am a mess intellectually and spiritually, but I have come to a place in my fleeting life to just be who I am. Be real no matter the personal cost. I know some folks will find my approach to making booktube videos not their cup of tea. That is reality. I know some folks out there will be turned off by my philosophy of life, Christian world life and view. But I started up my booktube channel to show folks Christians are people. Bookworms, I like to tell folks about books, all kinds of books, not just good Christian literature. I know I have this habit of always explaining myself, defending myself. I confess I am insecure. I do not want to be rejected. I want folks to be comfortable with me. I'm not a follower. I'm a loner in the booktube world, so I go my way because that is my way. Be real, let the shit fly, be crazy, dumb saint of the mind, in the words of Jack Kerouac. I suppose I'm warning my viewers that my goal in booktube is to be raw in my videos, talking about books, telling folks about what I'm reading day by day, what books have been added to our library. I will close to face it. Yes, I always when I would teach Sunday school many years ago, like I said, I used to tape my classes, and I would come home. I would tape the whole class, with not only what I was teaching, but with people what they were talking about, any response or answering questions. I taped the whole class. But then after I would teach a class, I would go home and I think, I didn't say this, I should have said that, and I didn't make that clear, and maybe I could have said this, and maybe I should have listened to that. And that's what I do in booktube. I'm often saying to myself, well, I didn't say this, and I didn't do that, and I slurred these words, and I said something that was not wrong or not clear. I mispronunciate somebody's name, like this guy in this book. It was just a mess. I could either stop teaching Sunday school, I could either stop making videos, or just say, hey, like I said, I'm not making, this is not a production. This is raw, this is me and who I am, and I have speech impediment. I mean, I can't pronunciate, but I just want to be a part of the conversation. I want to be a part of the booktube world, even though I feel like I'm a freak. That's just how I am. It's just one of my flaws. So this is Monday Reads. I do thank you for the comments. Thank you for the new subscribers. Thank you for those who left, those who stayed, and those who will come in the future. And so it is now 9:46. I'll download this, and tomorrow it should be posted. And hope you're having a good week. And until next time, bye.